Welcome to this explainer on a company you almost certainly have in your bathroom cabinet right now. We're looking at L'Oreal, a massive global conglomerate with a fascinating and, honestly, at times deeply complex history. I mean, it's the #1 beauty company worldwide today, but getting there, it was far from a simple straight line.
Okay, let's dive into this. We are looking at an incredible 116 years of continuous growth and operation. This is the story of a business that survived 2 world wars, navigated these monumental shifts in consumer culture, and evolved from a tiny makeshift laboratory into an absolute dominant global force.
So in this explainer, we're going to unpack exactly how they pulled that off. We'll be covering Section 1, the chemist's vision. Section 2, expanding beyond hair dye. Section 3, World War II shadows. Section 4, building a global empire. And finally, Section 5, the modern beauty giant.
Let's start right at the beginning. Section 1, the chemist's vision, 1909, the safe hair dye company.
The founder was this visionary young French chemist named Eugène Schueller. Now, back in 1909, women really wanted these trendy, boyish blonde hairstyles that were super popular in Paris. The problem was, the chemical dyes available at the time were highly unstable and, frankly, dangerous. Schueller saw a massive gap in the market here. Working literally out of his own apartment, he developed a safe, synthetic formula and called it L'Oreal. He registered his business as the Safe Hair Dye Company of France, manufacturing the chemicals at night and then pitching them directly to Parisian hairdressers by day. And this brilliantly illustrates the sheer scale of what Schueller set in motion. It's just staggering. In 1920, the entire company consisted of exactly 3 chemists working in a small lab. Compare that to the 90,000 employees working for the L'Oreal Group globally today. It's an empire built, right from its foundation, on placing scientific research at the very heart of beauty.
Moving on to Section 2, expanding beyond hair dye, from soap to sunscreen.
Schueller recognized pretty early on that to really scale, he couldn't just stick to hair dye. He needed to capture new consumer habits. So in 1928, the company acquired Monsavon, which gave them a solid foothold in the high-frequency mass-market soap segment. But 1934? That was the real masterstroke. They launched Ombre Solaire, a pioneering sun protection oil, and the timing here was impeccable, perfectly coinciding with the arrival of paid holidays in France. Suddenly, leisure was accessible to the masses, and, well, L'Oreal had the exact product for it. By 1939, the company harmonized its corporate identity to simply be known as L'Oreal.
This entire culture of anticipating consumer needs was supercharged by François Dallet, who became chairman and led the company through some explosive mid-century growth. Dallet operated under this bold, vibrant, driving principle: seize the moment. He focused intensely on both research and genuinely listening to what customers actually wanted, which is what moved the company into skincare and high-end fragrances.
We now turn to Section 3, World War II shadows, the controversial history of L'Oreal's founders. As documented by historical records, L'Oreal's founder, Eugène Schueller, was a Nazi sympathizer and an anti-Semitic fascist. During the 1930s and 40s, Schueller provided financial support to a violent, pro-fascist and anti-communist organization known as La Cagoule, even allowing them to hold meetings at L'Oreal's headquarters. During the occupation of France, he formed the Social Revolutionary Movement, which was a political party that openly collaborated with the Vichy government. Following the war, Schueller hired several former members of La Cagoule as executives within L'Oreal, most notably Jacques Carrez, who actually went on to serve as the honorary head of L'Oreal's United States affiliate.
The controversy extended to other senior figures as well. André Betancourt, who married Schuller's daughter Liliane and later became deputy chairman of L'Oreal, admitted to writing 60 articles for an anti-Semitic Nazi propaganda publication called La Terre Française during the war. He later claimed he was poisoned by the Vichy regime, issuing a public apology begging the Jewish community for forgiveness.
The legacy of the war also involved a decades-long legal battle regarding L'Oreal's German headquarters in the city of Karlsruhe. This property was situated on land that had been confiscated from a Jewish family, the Rosenfelders, by the Nazis during the Holocaust.
Now, what's really interesting about this slide is how Monica Weitzfelder, a descendant of the Rosenfelder family, spent years fighting the company for restitution. Her words clearly underscored the profound friction between the family's demand for accountability and the complex legal realities of post-war property disputes.
The legal outcome of the Karlsruhe dispute was highly complex. Restitution for the property was actually paid in 1951 to a Jewish successor organization, though it was done without the family's consent, and the Weitzfelder family never received the funds. Because the land was sold to an offshoot of L'Oreal, which was then formally bought out by L'Oreal in 1961, the company maintained that it held no legal responsibility for events prior to that 1961 buyout. Ultimately, the French Supreme Court ruled that there could be no trial on the matter. All right, moving into Section 4, Building a Global Empire, the Strategy of Acquisitions and Science.
To fuel massive global scaling and move forward, L'Oréal went public on the French Stock Exchange in 1963, and the capital raised there allowed them to execute this incredibly relentless acquisition strategy. In 1964, they acquired Lancôme, firmly establishing themselves in the high-margin luxury segment. In 1974, at the request of Lillian Bettencourt, Nestlé purchased a stake in the company to act as a structural defense against the risk of nationalization. Then, skipping ahead to 1996, they bought Maybelline New York, achieving immense global scale in the mass-market makeup category.
Now, this wasn't just random buying. It was a highly disciplined, three-step engine. First, they consistently pushed boundaries with internal scientific research. Second, they selectively acquired established brands that filled very specific market gaps. And third, they ensured they had a presence across all price points, from the local pharmacy down the street right up to the most exclusive department store.
Alongside this structural growth came a massive shift in how they actually spoke to consumers. In 1973, L'Oréal launched one of the most famous slogans in advertising history, "Because I'm worth it." This was completely revolutionary. It shifted the marketing strategy away from just describing what the product did to emphasizing the consumer's own self-esteem, empowerment, and personal value. It built this deep, emotional brand affinity that, as you know, still resonates today. Let's move to and see how this builds into Section 5, the modern beauty giant, L'Oréal in 2025.
Today, L'Oréal operates through a beautifully balanced multi-division strategy. Based on their 2025 annual results, the Consumer Products division alone brought in over 16 billion euros. The Luxe division, representing high-end luxury, is right behind it at 15.5 billion. Dermatological beauty, which bridges clinical science and skincare with brands you probably know like CeraVe and La Roche-Posay, sits at 7.2 billion, and the Professional Products division, which is actually a direct descendant of Schueller's original salon business, brought in 5.1 billion. It is basically a masterclass in market coverage.
But, they aren't just standing still. The modern giant is in a constant state of transformation. E-commerce is roaring right now, passing the 30% growth mark in 2025. They're continuing their strategic acquisitions, most recently bringing in Kering Beauté to bolster that luxury portfolio, and expanding into the fast-growing aesthetics market by taking a stake in Galderma. And crucially, they're doing all this while being recognized as a global sustainability leader, remaining the only company in the world to be awarded a AAA rating by the CDP for 10 consecutive years. All of this strategy, history, and science culminated in a massive number for 2025, 44.05 billion euros in total sales. It really is a testament to the incredible resilience and agility of their multi-category global model.
So the crucial point is this. L'Oréal represents a fascinating paradox. It's a brand that has undeniably shaped modern culture, championing product safety, scientific innovation, and consumer empowerment for well over a century. Yet, this 116-year legacy was also built on a foundation that includes deeply controversial and dark chapters. Which leaves us with a compelling question to consider as we close this explainer. As consumers and observers, how do we understand massive corporate empires that balance such complex, dark historical legacies with the modern, inclusive, and profound global impact they have today? It's definitely something to think about next time you reach for that bottle of shampoo. Thank you so much for joining me on this explainer.